But before we get into it, let's welcome my next guest on Credlin. She'll be familiar to you, a long-standing good mate of mine, the former Liberal MP for Boothby and South Australia, Nicolle Flint. Now, pleased to say too, she's going to be a bit of a regular on the program. So Flinty, great to have you on the program tonight. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me back, Peter. I'm really excited about what we're going to be talking about over the weeks to come.
All right, let's get straight into it. This rollback on Operation Sovereign Borders, the move last week to scrap TPVs. We saw the ads go out on the weekend. We heard from Senate estimates last night from the Admiral that they've surged capacity to the north in anticipation of more boats. Now, I argued at the top of the show, forget this compassion line from the PM. It's nothing to do with compassion. This is about Labor being hard-nosed, about bleeding votes on its flank to the Greens. So this is political self-interest, Nicolle Flint, not the national interest.
Absolutely, and I just cannot believe that Labor have gone down this path again. Sorry, I can, because as you've just pointed out, Peter, they are appealing to a certain segment of voters. But we have seen this movie before and we know how it ends, which is really badly. 50,000 people came here illegally by boat, including 8,000 children. 1,200 people died at sea. That is unbelievably tragic, and the total cost in terms of processing all of these illegal asylum seekers was something like $16 billion, Peter. Now, there are three key things I think viewers and all Australians should think about in relation to this. We know that this policy has failed in the past and led to unimaginable tragedy and huge cost to the Australian public. We also know that it's our Defence Force personnel who are going to bear the brunt of this trauma if they have to be fishing people out of the sea again, and recovering bodies, which they just shouldn't have to be put through it again. And finally, at a time when we have some very serious national and international security concerns, we should not be deploying our Navy and our Defence Force personnel to something that shouldn't need to be dealt with.
And I can't help thinking, you live in Adelaide, you've got that wonderful electrician from Scotland who's been there for a decade, raised his family, paid taxes. Mark Green's his name. He wants to stay. He's been waiting for resolution on his visa. You've got there 19,000 people, mainly from Afghanistan, Iran and places like that, came here the wrong way. Well, we're going to let them stay and bring all their family here. And poor old Mark Green, we can't even give him a decision.
It's just devastating for people like Mark and his family and his friends, but also, Peter, for the tens of thousands of people waiting in refugee camps around the globe who want to come to Australia, who are doing the right thing, getting in line, waiting in line, and then seeing that, if you've done the wrong thing, if you've paid a people smuggler, if you've caused the nation enormous stress and financial stress and personal stress, then you'll be allowed in and you'll be allowed to bring your family. I really hope that we don't see the disaster from 2009 through to 2013 repeat itself, but I'm very concerned that we will.
I'll stay with Canberra politics. Last night we had Labor pass their Housing Future Fund. This is legislation through the lower house, obviously got to go to the Senate. The Greens abstained on the vote, but Labor relied on one notable Liberal, Tasmanian Bridget Archer. She crossed the floor yet again, sat with Labor. Now, you'll be probably nicer than me, but when's she going to realise she's in the wrong party?
Well, Peter, you and I are true blue Liberals, and we know that as Liberals, that's the beauty of being part of our party is freedom of thought, freedom of choice, and the freedom to cross the floor if you believe in something strongly enough. I think it's really disappointing, and particularly because if you look at the Coalition's social housing policy from the last election and the work that we'd done leading up to the election, we'd committed something like $5.5 billion to create 27,500 new social homes, social housing premises and homes. Labor are putting $10 billion towards this and only creating 30,000 homes. So you've got to really ask the question, where's the value for money? And, you know, Bridget Archer will have to go home to her electorate and explain to taxpayers down there why she has decided to support a program that is double the cost for exactly the same outcome.
Flinty, when does a matter of conscience become a matter of habit? I reckon she's crossed the floor and sat with Labor more than she's voted with her own side.
Look, it's quite possible, Peter, and as one of the whips, I had to try to help manage
Crack the whip.
people wanting to cross the floor last Parliament. Crack the whip. But, you know, Barnaby Joyce is another example. I think he's up there in the record holders in crossing the floor in the Senate when he was a senator. Again, this is the beauty of being a Liberal Party member. You are not told what to think and how to think. You can make up your own mind, but at the end of the day, you need to justify it to your voters and also to your colleagues and to the Parliament.